I had a friend who was in manufacturing for the salon and beauty industry, and I tried to court him as a client and tried to convince him to hire my agency to help take him direct to consumer. But he sold through distribution and through retail, so it made no sense for him. That was a conflict of interest. So I kind of seemed fun at the time, but I daringly said, "Hey, well, what's stopping me from being one of your distributors?" And you like, I just sell your stuff on consignment and keep the profit. Like, seemed like a good idea at the time until he said, "You should totally do that." And he double dog dared me, and the rest is history, as they say.
Welcome, everybody, to the Revved UP podcast. I have an amazing guest today, Bryce Macbeth. My introduction will not do him justice. Bryce has been in marketing for his whole career. As a matter of fact, Bryce started way back when web marketing was brand new. He founded Revved Marketing, which was an agency that flipped the traditional marketing model on its head, basically making something work, and he went out and proved it by building his own company using his agency to make it successful, Standish Salon Goods. In between, he started mentoring, he's taught classes, he's written a book. Standish, I think salon chairs won't sell themselves. We're going to dig into what Bryce is up to today and really dig into this concept of personas, which I'm excited to learn more about. So welcome, Bryce. Thanks for being here today.
What's up, Gary? Thanks for having me. It's fun. Let's go.
Bryce, before we dig into your exciting new venture, I'm just fascinated. I was on the way back machine. All right, you were at IBM in '97, dealing with web analytics. Like, what did web analytics look like in '97? Did they have cookies back then?
It was ugly. Yeah, it was definitely ugly. It was a bunch of reports that counted web server hits, if you remember
Hits.
that term. Essentially, yeah, web analytics back in the day, back in the 1900s, was initially about counting web server hits. So we were tasked by IBM with a couple veteran IBM engineers to design the first web analytics platform delivered as a service. So we were essentially trying to get at what was going on behavior-wise with a lot of the IBM special events. If you think like Wimbledon, the U.S. Open, the Grammys, the Country Music Awards, like what were people doing on these websites? And the traditional hit counter wasn't really delivering, so we had to come up with a new system. And our team's the team that came up with a lot of the nomenclature that's still used today around page views, visits, visitors, the difference between a session and a visitor, new versus repeat. So a lot of the same concepts that are still used today. Yeah, cookies came along there somewhere around the mid 1900s. We were able to more accurately identify what we thought was an individual user, but really it was just a device, for as long as they didn't delete the cookie. But Mike Nichols on our team, the late Mike Nichols, the late and great Mike Nichols from our team, is the one that created the single pixel tracking GIF, which is still used today for a lot of the different web analytics and tracking software that's still used today. It's evolved into more of a JavaScript type application, but that was specifically intended to resolve an issue with receiving 24 hours worth of web logs from Wimbledon. That took roughly 40 hours to FTP an entire day's worth of data.
So it was relatively real time. That's amazing. So you've literally been around web and web analytics. You worked with the founder or the inventor of the Pixel. That's amazing. So you were in these big tech companies, right? AMD or IBM to start, AMD, and then you took a leap, ran on your own, Revved Marketing Agency. Probably, I'm guessing, to put what you learned into practice and try and advance marketing for other companies. And then you made the bold move, which I think is awesome. We call it eating your own dog food. You went ahead and stood up an e-commerce company. I'm guessing the salon chair was e-commerce to begin with, and you used your own agency you started to make that successful. Like, what gave you that idea?
Well, it's actually pretty. It's it's funny just like hearing about it, and from the third party perspective, it is like fun to hear people kind of pontificate about how that might have like come up. But the reality is, I had a friend who was in manufacturing for the salon and beauty industry, and I tried to court him as a client and I tried to convince him to hire my agency to help take him direct to consumer. But he sold through distribution and through retail, so it made no sense for him. He That was a conflict of interest. So I kind of seemed fun at the time, but I daringly said, "Hey, well, what's stopping me from being one of your distributors?" And you like, I just sell your stuff on consignment and keep the profit. Like, seemed like a good idea at the time until he said, "You should totally do that." And he double dog dared me, and the rest is history, as
Which
they say.
started on a
I don't.
dare.
Sounds glorious. Yeah, sounds glamorous, but the reality it was like running two startups at once. So I
Well,
don't recommend it.
that's part of why I wondered, like, what gave you that idea? Because it seems like quite a stretch, but you pulled it off.
We pulled it off. Yeah, I'd say we pulled it off. I think we did a good job with it. Like I said, it's the lifestyle. It isn't not super conducive to like being a great family person or a great friend at times, but definitely a great learning experience. Definitely ate our own dog food, and I think the story absolutely resonates with our customers today. At least they know I've truly been in their shoes. I'm not just trying to act like I know what it's like to run a business. I've actually done it multiple times.
I think that's fantastic. I think the credibility, obviously, it would give to your clients, but truly understanding what a company trying to figure out marketing is, and having that perspective and seeing the pain that it can cause when efforts don't seem to be working. Right, you've got that connection, which I think probably makes you a much better service provider to companies trying to solve those problems. Right.
Yeah, was trying to solve the same problems they were trying to solve. E-commerce, Shopify was really emerging at the time, and so it made e-commerce websites extremely easy for your average person to spin up a website and start selling product. Google and Meta were getting great at making it super easy for anyone to put their credit card in and run some ads, and so it really was starting to sort of fragment and increased competition, just drove cost up and just made it very difficult. Made even in my own industry and own category, it was there's a lot of competition. So I founded Reap for the purpose of focusing on what I thought was in the blind spot of most agencies at that time, which was conversion rate optimization, which essentially is getting better results from the traffic you already have rather than just going and spending more money to get more traffic. The average website converts at a miserable 1 to 2% conversion rate. And could you imagine if like 1,000 people came into Target and only 10 people purchased and the rest of the 990 people left without buying? Like, somebody would be fired, but we allow that to happen on our website. So that's what Reap was created for. So essentially, by focusing on that and getting that right from the beginning, and continuing to sort of test, learn, and sort of push the needle on what we thought might work, trying different hypotheses or things that we could clearly see weren't working, and experimenting around that really is kind of what helped us keep going.
I love the analogy you just used. It's the first time it's been explained to me. Imagine 1,000 people going into Target and only one person making a purchase in terms of conversion rate, right? So you're spending all this money to bring people in, and because
Yep.
maybe you're blind to it, you don't see it, right? It doesn't seem like the same event as walking into parking and walking in a store, but it really is. They're there to shop. They landed in your online store to shop, and then they don't buy anything. Right, so that's ultimately conversion rate optimization, is going, how do we get them to buy when they're here? So
Yep.
that, I love that. It's like it's clicked in a whole different way for me right now. And before I spin out of control,
Let me
was that?
make it. Yeah. I was gonna let it click with you
Okay.
one other way. Like, think about this. Like, there's 99 times the amount of for the average website. There's 99 times the amount of opportunity that you're already seeing already on your website. Like, they didn't come to your website to get out of the rain.
Or use the bathroom.
Yeah, in the case of a target, like they came for a reason. Now, some people may have thought they were looking for something else, or maybe they were just kicking tires, or maybe they did sort of land on decide pretty quickly that wasn't the right destination for them. But still, there's a huge amount of opportunity already on the site that's just looking for a reason to pull their credit card out and buy, but you're not either saying the right things, you're not doing the right things, showing the right things, and
Yeah,
yeah,
and,
it's
and
pretty
you're
compelling,
not you're
right?
not like getting there through doom scrolling. You're not landing on somebody's e-commerce page because you were clicking through videos. You're in an action, right? You have some sort of buyer intent likely. Even if it's just price shopping or comparison or preparing, right? So they are they are potential customers. And God, just think about, yeah, like 1 out of 1,000. That's nuts. So, all right, so
10 out of
all right, 10
1,000.
out of 1,000. That's
10 out of
still
1,000 or
still
1 out of
crazy. Like
100.
you said, somebody at
Yeah.
the merchandiser at Target would have a hard time explaining that, right? So,
Yeah.
my understanding is you just raised a bunch of capital, VC capital, to start something new. Like you didn't learn the first few times, and now you want to do it again to yourself. Like, can you share some of that, or is that all still like under NDA?
I can share some of it, but I, distinctly remember us being on a golf course a couple months ago, maybe a few months ago, and telling you that I definitely did not have another startup in me, and somehow I'm back in the saddle with another one. So this will be the third, but yeah, we did a pre-seed, like friends and family around, and because of the sort of pedigree and our founders group, we have three core founders. It kind of made its way. The word sort of made its way through the Austin VC community, and got paired up with a really great partner that totally gets what we're trying to do and is sort of betting on the long game with us, and is giving us the resources and freedom to go do what we know is right. So super excited about it, and yeah, I think this one might feel a little bit different because it's not quite as lonely. I've got some really high caliber partners, and with our venture capital partner, like that brings a lot of added resources and knowledge too. So I'm happy
All
about that.
right, but what is it? What is this new idea? So, family and friends around, you've decided to do it again because you couldn't help yourself. You got a team doing what? What are you guys working on?
Yeah, so it's pretty complicated, but at the root of it is we're creating the world's best buyer persona engine. So better understanding not just like who's buying from you, but like truly what their intents and motivations are. So we have some patents that are pending around how we understand user behavior and what they're looking at. So think of like heat maps and analytical data around website behavior. But in the next generation, we have all this AI to help us with our guidance, help it understand what it is that people are looking for that they may not be finding, or what it is that they found that truly motivated them to pull their credit card out. I don't know if you can relate to this with some of your EOS engagements, but you talk to a brand and they tell you they're pretty clear on what their ICP is, but a lot of times it's either very generalized and hard to really lock in on who you're after, or in many cases what we're finding is they're actually not correct. Like that may have been a great starting point for the original founder, and it hasn't been challenged, or no data has been presented to convince the company otherwise. And now we're finding in many cases that we can find other persona groups that are frequently 40 to what we've seen 40 to 130% higher in value than what the company thought their ideal
Okay, all
client
right.
profile
Hold
was
on.
like.
Now we're getting into math. So for the sake of the audience and myself, because I might have just gotten a little confused there. Can you make a nice target shopper analogy simple for me? What is a buyer persona as opposed, you said ICP, the ideal client profile? Is there a difference between the two? Can you explain that? Okay.
I'm using it a little bit interchangeably, but I'd say a persona is just any like related group of people that kind of look and act similar, have the similar lifestyle or motives. And typically, what I see with a lot of brands is they may even have some data they've collected about their purchase patterns, and sometimes they'll even enrich it with very expensive third-party data from what's called a CDP, customer data platform, which give them more demographic and some psychographic
Okay.
information. So you cluster those people together based on similar demographics and similar lifestyle, then you develop what's called a persona. And an ICP or ideal client profile might be, picking one of those persona that is really who you feel like is most valuable, that you're going to spend most of your resources to go
Okay.
after, to go target. Okay, so ideal client profile, just think of it as the one profile that you truly feel like most fits your prospective customer profile. So again, a lot of that, especially in the early stages of a company, it's based on real world experience. But for instance, I sell into mid market e-commerce businesses doing $5 to $100 million a year, looking to break through limitations and obstacles that are getting in the way of profitable growth. Right. So I know the kind of the profile of the company I'm after. But in many cases, when products are developed, especially let's call it food and beverage, the founder or the marketing team may have in their mind who is going to be the perfect candidate to buy this product, who's going to love it the most, who's going to spend the most money trying the product and sticking with the
Okay.
brand for life. Many times what we're finding is the reality is that they got it wrong. Or maybe they didn't get it wrong, but there's actually somebody out there that's even better than who they thought they were
Okay.
after.
So your tool does more than just define personas. It also can help understand where the most valuable buyers would be. Is that right?
Yep. Yeah, so this is the first time. So there are demographic tools out there. There's behavioral analysis tools out there. There's purchase pattern tools out there. Marketing attribution software that helps you understand where people came from, what ads they saw, what channels they encountered during their buyer journey. But typically, historically, those have all been separate. You have to analyze all those separately, and there's nothing
Oh,
that looks at it
okay.
holistically. Another challenge is a lot of these days a lot of people are, it's difficult to track people at an individual level because of all the privacy issues, and things have just gotten expensive. The list goes on, but essentially, having this in one place, marrying it all together, enriching the data, and then using AI to process at breakneck speed, find clusters of people that are similar, not just based on what they look like, but what they're thinking about your brand. That's
Interesting.
different. We have data about most popular products, and we have data about demographics, but taking all that data and understanding what people think about your brand and what they think about the page they're looking at on your website, that is new, and that's where some of our patented technology comes into play.
Let me check for understanding here. I'll use a terrible analogy. So let's say you sell black nail polish and black lipstick, and you would think then
Oh no.
your ideal client would be a goth, right? Somebody who, right, who dresses like a goth, right? But what you're saying is there are people that maybe do that for Halloween. There are people that have it as a lifestyle fashion, but then there are nihilists who think like a goth. And you're saying you could put all of that into your engine and go, hey, the person who's going to end up being the most loyal customer of black nail polish and lipstick isn't the Halloween person, it's the person who's committed to the goth lifestyle, for instance. Is that close?
Yeah, right. Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
personally, yeah. Yeah, that's in its most
So
simple form, sure.
so help me understand, how does that impact Reap? Is that going to disrupt your own business? Are you building a competitor for yourself?
I hope so. No, I don't know if it would be a competitor, but hopefully it does disrupt. I think the way I see this is, Reap is going to have to adjust. I mean, I think there's over 110,000 agencies in North America, right? So I think we've done a good job at entering the market and being different and serving the conversion rate optimization scene when it was new, before it was like super popular and helped kind of popularize that aspect of the service. Now most agencies kind of fold that into their service. And then we've gone through a couple of changes after we sold our salon chair company. We really sort of focused on nothing but e-commerce performance and solving issues, preventing profitable growth. And now I just see this as sort of the next chapter. So essentially, the way I see my agency is we would be a service partner of this technology. So ultimately, technology doesn't grow your business profitably like
Right.
people do with the use of technology. So Reap could be just one service partner of this technology. So I see Reap evolving to be highly specialized in using this technology to derive and deliver clear, concrete, prescriptive answers about what to do, rather than running reports and doing a bunch of work and getting paid for hours. We're delivering answers and then helping enable and implement those recommendations at a rapid
Okay.
pace.
Interesting. So you said 110,000 agencies.
Yeah, I haven't looked it up
Wow.
recently, but there's definitely over 110,000.
So I don't know why I'm always surprised by numbers of our economy. It's staggering, right? Trillions, right? Um, so if you're a brand agency today, right? Is this or is this a tool they're going to be excited about and they're going to just readily adopt, or do you think this is going to disrupt them and make them fearful?
Both. Well, I think they should be really excited about it. I mean, because it's a scary world out there, and there's a lot of uncertainty. And how are we going to adjust to this? How are we going to keep delivering value to our clients? Is what these agencies are sort of thinking about right now. And some of them are using AI well, but they don't want to talk about it because they feel like it's going to challenge their status quo with how they
Mm.
bill for time.
Ah,
But this gives them a massive opportunity for the ones that adopt AI in general. I'm not just talking about my tool, but like delivering more efficiently, but you still get the human element. Still get the years of experience. Like that's still needed. And I would say most of the AI I've seen out there is not very intelligent yet. And at least in the marketing and creative space, it's really interesting and it's fun. It certainly makes the process more efficiently, or it can. But so I'm not just saying this because it's ours. I feel like our tool is one of the first truly intelligent AI applications and marketing research. I've seen one other one called Cashew Research. Those guys are doing some really interesting things with outside market research that doesn't necessarily deal with your existing client base, but more surveying the market space and helping understand what's outside of your peripheral. But all that to say, a lot of really novel things in AI and in marketing, but there's not a whole lot of it that's truly intelligent, even though they say some of it is. So back to your question, a branding agency in your case, if they're kind of looking for what to do now, the ideal scenario is they see that this is an opportunity rather than just trying to differentiate on creativity, which every all of their competitors try to differentiate on the same thing. They could use this tool to then basically say like, hey, we're not going to touch your brand or we're not going to touch your creative until we know more about your best customers and what you're after and how this fits. And by the time you're done with our project, you'll have a brand that better, actually statistically better resonates with your customers, rather than just we're going to go off of hearsay and our opinion and what we think looks the best. There's a big difference. I actually wrote about it in the first chapter of my book about how I messed up the launch of my own salon chair company by designing the site incorrectly because I was trying to make a big splash with the way it looked and the experience of it, and it was awesome, but it did not perform as well as I expected it because I didn't adhere to my own principles
Yeah.
of conversion rate optimization. I messed it up.
Interesting.
I messed it up, but I got it right. I ended up getting a $100 template and fixing the problem overnight.
So
So
so now, I mean, I am aware, and you brought up an interesting thing about AI right now is that the people who are using it, some of them are trying to hide the fact they're using it because they're worried about the perception, right? Like, wait, I paid you $400 an hour, right? And you just put it in Chat GPT and gave me the answer, right? So there's that part of it. There's also that, why would you have to come to me if I'm just using AI? Wouldn't AI give everyone the same answer? Which I've come to understand, no, not everybody gets the same answer out of AI, right? But you're talking about a whole different level of use that's built into your tool for a specific purpose. But with this, you have tools. There's other tools out there. AI's here. Like, with the way things are developing, and I don't know, there's like clicks, and there's places where I've heard AI could build you a website now. So, is it just like gonna be an explosion? Everybody in the world could just have their own branded merchandise online and sell because it's just hand it over to the bots and agents and get it done.
I don't know. I try to stay away from trying to predict these outcomes that I can't. I mean, I can barely see a month down the road these days. Things are moving so quickly. But in theory, yeah, I guess it's certainly made like the creation and ideation process a lot faster. If you're good with AI, I mean, it's a whole skill set in of itself. But ultimately, back to what you're saying, like you think about ChatGPT, like yes, it can shortcut the process. Yes, it can help you break through some sort of creative brain blocks, but it requires a skill to use it well. I think the analogy that was given to me that I'd still sort of tell people today, I wish I could remember who told me, I'd certainly give them credit for it. But think of like the world's best intern, right? So like they're the smartest person in the room because they've like studied, they've prepared for this. They see how this is going to impact their future, so they're eager to please. They will work day in and day out to deliver the best answer possible. But they're also the dumbest person in the room because they have zero experience and they're just drawing on a bunch of internet searches to try to triangulate an answer. So the more you can be clear with your intern and train them and tell them exactly what you're looking for, what you expect in the result, what sources to use, how to position it tactfully, get you closer and closer to the answer. So it becomes a lot more, obviously a lot more complicated than that. But I thought that was a really good analogy because, yeah, you can just throw anything in a chat GPT and have it do something. But if you want the best answers, that's not really the way to do it. Certainly, you wouldn't just give a big important project to a smart intern on day one and
Absolutely,
not
yeah, no,
check his work.
absolutely.
There's still a huge human element
But
to
that, I mean,
this.
that I don't want to go down the rabbit hole, but what you just said really, recently read that some of the first signs of AI impacting the job market are interns, fresh grads. Those are the jobs that are kind of getting replaced right now, right? Because somebody, a supervisor or a manager who has the ability to assign a task and then check the work is doing it now with AI instead of a kid out of college. So, oof, I don't want to go there today. All right, so AI doesn't solve the problem of starting a business. You still need intelligence behind it. Um, is there still such a thing as then with AI basically taking over search? Is there such a thing as search engine optimization anymore? Or I know you did a keynote like you called SEO is the hoax or something like that. Is it still a hoax?
Yeah, I used to do so SEO, just for those that don't know, is
Yeah.
the search engine optimization, which is the practice of trying to get your site ranked on Google and Yahoo and Bing for relevant, searches by internet users, in hopes of getting clicks to your website so that they do business with you. And for the past 15 years, I've delivered some variation of a keynote that I call SEO as a hoax, which really, number one, gets SEO experts all kind of up in a tizzy. And obviously, it's provocative for a reason to get some attention because so many businesses put so much stock into SEO because they see it as a free traffic when in reality they're not counting how much money and time they're spending on it, how long it takes, and how little guarantee results that it can deliver. So it's not telling you not to do SEO. It's more about like a different way to think about it and apply it to your business. And it's evolved over the years. And now, to your point, there's AI search results fed into the search engine result page, which is totally disrupting a lot of our paid search campaigns and even organic unpaid links from Google. It's completely turning that on its head. And I thought for sure, Google would be protecting that paid search traffic, and that's the huge portion of their revenue. But they're also trying to provide the best experience to customers, and there is going to be more and more pay to play, even in the AI results, I think, is what's coming. But now it's almost like SEO is even more of a hoax. But we're calling it, so there needs to be almost an effort around feeding information into the AI engines, whether it's ChatGPT or Google's AI search results. We've done a lot of experimentation with some decent early results. But I think it's one of those things where we're going to constantly be testing with it because it's going to keep moving fast. Like whatever we came up with today might not even work in 3 months. So we'll call it GEO, or generative engine optimization, is kind of what we're calling the next sort of generation of search engine optimization.
Generative search engine well, my mind is melting again. And you live in a world where you deal with data and things that are going on that I don't know how to keep pace. So if everything goes well, when can I start directing listeners to your new company's website to get your help with personas? What's your plan? You're going to launch by the end of this year, you think? You'll be out in the market with some product?
But we don't have time for that. We don't have time for that. It's got to be like literally beginning of July. Well, so I mean, Gary, we've been working on this project for over a year now, and
Okay.
the product is ready. It is ready to process some data and generate some personas and give you recommendations. And there's a whole element of marketing and paid advertising that it helps and feeds into that we haven't talked about that might be outside the scope of this podcast today. But the product is ready. What's not ready is like getting all the different integrations into platforms that fits the majority of our clients. So hardening integrations in with Shopify,
Okay.
Klaviyo, Google, Meta, and then onboarding clients in an intuitive way so that we can hire operators to scale this thing up. So everything so far has been sort of manually done by our lead engineer, which is not a way
Got
that we
it.
can take this to market. So with this capital, we'll be able to take an already proven product and put the sort of onboarding and integration work into play so that we're able to actually have a client waiting list at this point. So idea is beginning of mid-July, we should be as rapidly onboarding
Well,
new
all
customers.
right. I I did know you were working on it for a while, but again, this is how little I know about launching a platform like that. So it sounds to me like you're at the commercialization stage. You're using this venture to really start to commercialize it so that it can scale. The product itself is proven, it's built, but you need to be able to integrate it with customers for easy onboarding and for them to use their own data in their native platforms. So that's exciting, but gosh, in a couple of weeks, you need to get all that done. So I don't want to hold you up anymore. I've already taken.
Well, we
Yeah,
talk podcasts. I
exactly.
got things
So,
to
I
do.
mean,
Just
that
kidding.
just made me look at the clock and say, boy, he's going to be busy. So, with that, I want to thank you.
Well, I'm not a developer, so like I can't really help with some of that stuff. I'm not
But I'm
a
sure there'll be
developer,
questions you
so
need to answer and other stuff, and maybe get a little sleep tonight. I really thank you for coming and being a guest on my show. I really appreciate it. I always love talking to you. I think I know a little bit more about web analytics today, but that's because that's just not my background. But hopefully for the listeners who understand it at a deeper level than I do, you'll see the value not only in what Bryce has built throughout his career, but what's coming. So I'm excited about that. And and I can't wait to talk to you on a golf course in a couple months and see how those first couple of clients are working for you.
Yeah, and the product's called Neurograph. Just if we're able to make a plug, the product
All right, we'll
is
make
called
sure
Neurograph.
we get that into the show notes and a link and all that stuff. Absolutely. All right, man. Get on with your busy day. Thank you for taking all this time with me. All right.
Absolutely, that was fun. Thanks, Gary.